there anything now that can stall or derail the Muskrat Falls project as it stands right now?
Well, we're still waiting on the finalization of the loan guarantee, as the Premier has indicated. That should be done hopefully in the next week or two, but I think she's also indicated that we won't be going to the House of Assembly and debating Muskrat Falls without that. That's obviously an important component of the deal, because it goes directly to the cost of the taxpayer in terms of saving money.
Okay. Quick question about your comments about the PUB with Dave Cochran over there. Well, basically last week, but on the weekend, you said that you indicated that the government has basically lost confidence in the PUB in terms of their performance analyzing Muskrat Falls. What happens to that board now? How do they continue to do their job if they don't have the confidence of the government in their actions?
Yeah, I think my comments have to be placed in the context of Muskrat Falls. We had spent, when I say we, as a government, 9 months waiting for a decision. That there was an initial 6-month time frame from the time that the reference question was provided them, and then they were giving another 3-month extension. It cost more than $2 million, and then the result was not very helpful, to say the least. I went on to state that we had no intention of sending any of this material back to the PUB, however, and that I didn't have confidence in them in relation to Muskrat Falls. They still have issues with, they have to deal with rates and transmission, things like that, so they can continue to do their job there, but we're not going to be sending Muskrat Falls back to them.
But they'll still be addressing the regulatory issues that arise out of Muskrat Falls and power pricing and that type of detail that comes back to them as a normal one, of course, anyway?
They will be dealing with regulatory issues, correct, yes. But in terms of Muskrat Falls, I should make it clear that there is legislation to come before the House of Assembly that will deal specifically with Muskrat Falls and how that is to be dealt with by the PUB.
New legislation about legislation?
Well, there's
New
legislation
about how to handle Muskrat Falls.
Yeah, because we're bringing in the Labrador Industrial Rates policy, which will require amendments to the Electrical Power Control Act, to certain other acts, and there's also with Muskrat Falls there will have to be a cleanup of Muskrat Falls. Excuse me, a cleanup in terms of any outstanding legislation that corresponds. Yeah.
Because there's some interesting issues about whether or not how you treat Newfoundland Hydro as an arm's length entity underneath Nalcor, when Hydro has to go before the board for rate increases or to address the questions of how a power purchase agreement would actually reflect down to consumers. Are there going to be modifications in legislation for that as well?
There will be, as in other projects. I think the Premier outlined in the House of Assembly in the fall that the way the PUB, that big projects have been exempt from the PUB in terms of rates, and that will continue here, because in order to obtain your financing, in order to give the bond rating agencies, and perhaps Minister Marshall would be the better person to speak to here, but to give them the confidence they have in terms of providing loans, they have to know that there's going to be a regulated rate of return, and that return will be set by the government.
So the regulated rate of return essentially comes out of the hands of the PUB through legislation and ends up being set in, for lack of a better description, set in stone, so that anyone financing the project knows exactly what they're dealing with.
Yeah, and you'll see that tomorrow when we release our rates paper.